This podcast is being recorded.
This podcast is, for your warning, this podcast is being recorded. It's not a podcast then, it's just a chat.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about movies with each other outside of this.
To be honest with you, we don't know, because as soon as one of us starts talking about movies, we go...
Hello, and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
And for this episode, we watched Bend It Like Beckham. Woo! Gold! Yay!
Football stuff.
Spice Girls!
Yeah.
I think I'd seen this like once or twice when it came out, and that was about it. I'd never like massively loved this movie, but yeah, I definitely saw it a couple of times at least.
Yeah, I saw it a handful of times, and I just remembered being really like, I really enjoyed it. It was one of the first films I think I saw that was about like the like a different culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched this in school. For
Yeah?
some reason, this was my English class film. We had to sit and watch this.
Huh.
And we watched it a lot.
Hmm.
Don't know why.
Yeah, that's an odd one, actually.
But yeah, we watch Bend It Like Beckham a lot. I don't know whether
It's
the
got
teacher
good
just liked
conflict, and it's got good representation of different cultures working together.
And it's got 4 times when they think they see someone kissing and they don't, so...
It's good. It's got good storytelling. Like, it's a pretty standard storytelling setup. I guess that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I
It's
think
kind
my
of
teacher
Romeo
just
and
liked it.
Juliet football.
Yeah. I think my teacher just liked it. She was cool.
Yeah, 2003, she might have been pretty desperate for a film she could show kids that wasn't, awful.
Yeah, Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
Hmm.
Because I imagine every English teacher is fucking sick of watching that film. Can someone else just release a good Shakespeare film, please?
They have. It's called 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 Things I Hate About You is the best Shakespeare adaptation, though.
But it's not like Shakespeare-y. Like,
Yeah, it's The Taming of the Shrew. It even has the same syllables as the title.
yes, but it isn't like
The
spoken-
Lion King.
It isn't spoken as
No.
Shakespearean, whereas like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet it's directly taken from the text. It's an adaptation. No one else does that. I'd be fucking sick. I was sick of watching Romeo and Juliet, and I only had to do it for once.
It's hard work, like Shakespearean, when it so lends itself to being performed in a play setting.
Yeah. It's not meant to be read.
It's not meant to be read, and it's not really meant to be watched like a film.
It's a good film. It's a really
'Cause
good adaptation.
when you've got a film, you don't need to say half the things you have to say when you're doing a play.
No.
So it feels so much wordier than when it's, ironically, when it is a play and it the props are pretty,
Minimal.
You get, you do say more. And
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I've seen quite a lot of Shakespearean plays. I'd say Romeo and Juliet is not one of my favourites, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I quite like that Romeo and Juliet film. I think, last time I saw it was about 10 years ago. We should do a podcast about that.
We should talk about it. But first of all, we should talk about Bend It Like Beckham, because I
Yes.
had to watch this in film class, and it never fully left my brain. Like, it never really fully left my memory. It's
Yeah,
always been there.
mine neither, actually. It really impacted me.
So, this film is about an Indian family.
In Croydon.
Yeah, in Croydon. Mainly about the daughter, who wants to be a footballer. She wants to do football. She doesn't want to be traditional.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is tradition, like tradition and family versus stepping out on your own and doing your own thing.
Yeah. Essentially, she sneaks off and kind of, whenever she can, plays football with her mates.
Yeah, she has a
and
big
that's kind of all she's
shrine to-
interested in. She's absolutely obsessed with David Beckham.
Yeah, she's got a big shrine to him. There's like huge posters all over, like on her wall
Which
and everything.
Feels weird now, because now David Beckham is not really known as a footballer.
No, this movie has aged.
He is
in a lot of.
No,
What would you say he's known as?
He's known as a celebrity. He's known as marrying Posh from.
He married Posh
from the
Spice.
Spice Girls. Yeah, he's famous for marrying.
He's a
Posh
footballer.
Spice.
Like that's why he's famous.
He's
No,
Posh Spice's
it's why
husband.
he's famous. That
He
he's not
was
like...
famous before. Like they were the dream couple.
No, I'm joking. But he's not like famous for playing football anymore. Like,
Well,
he's
no, of
famous.
course he isn't. He retired. Well, he went and played in America, which is actually akin to retiring.
Yeah.
And then I think he's properly retired.
But that's why it feels weird, because it's like no one talks about him now as like, oh, he was this great, amazing footballer. He wasn't an amazing footballer. He was just kind of famous for it. But at the time, I remember at the time, everyone was like, he's the greatest footballer ever.
Yeah, at the time,
Wait.
they were quite, like, I still remember the names of, well, I could probably tell you more footballers from back then than I can now. And by that, I mean David Beckham, and there was also Michael Owen.
Mm-hmm.
He was
Yep.
on The Masked Singer.
Wow.
That's all two that I know.
Cool.
So
I don't know.
I like football, and Beckham was a good football player. Like, he was like a set piece specialist. He was widely renowned as being like a fantastic right wing. I don't know what his stats were.
But I don't think anyone would. I don't think now, if you talk to people, they'd go, David Beckham is like this legendary.
Oh
footballer.
no, it's all like
He's
Mbappe
like now.
and Kane, obviously, and all
Yeah.
these other footballers I could name that you'd definitely heard of.
No, absolutely. I struggled to understand the football in this film.
You've heard of Harry Kane,
No.
Dan?
Yeah, I've heard of that guy. There's also Mr. Messi from the Mr. Men.
But you understand what I mean. Like, it's weird.
Oh,
It
I'm
has
actually.
aged the
I just
film.
thought there's Marcus Rashford, and I know him because he told our government that they're a bunch of cunts that should feed children. That's
Oh, good on him.
Yeah, Rashford's a fantastic player.
yeah. I
And
don't
then
know
we've
about the
got, like-
football side of things, but I support him telling the government they should feed children because yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we just had local lad for me, Jackie Grealish. He went to. I feel like Jackie Grealish is a little bit of a current era Beckham, just because he is so thick. And I remember at the time, like, Beckham used to be the butt of a lot of jokes of being like an absolute idiot. Do you remember those sort of jokes?
Yeah, because I think he
It was
used to
like-
say at the end of the day a lot. It's like, oh, at the end of the day, we just got to score some goals. It's like, yeah, that's
The only
football.
The only thing I remember,
I remember Joe being like-
his hair.
Yes, so he was very famous for his hairstyles, and then there was like
Even
a
when
joke-
he's a skinhead on that poster.
yeah,
like-
because he's bleached it blonde.
Oh, but the poster's black and white. You can't tell.
Hmm.
It was an odd time for men's hair.
He was like, "Oh, posh. Check out this new thermos I've got. It's amazing. It keeps hot things hot and cold things cold." She's like, "Oh yeah, what have you put in it then?" He's like, "Oh, hot chocolate and a choc ice."
I'm going to be honest with you, don't know anything about football. And honestly, I didn't think we'd be talking about this much football in this film.
Yeah,
on
I know
this
you guys aren't
podcast.
really into football, so I don't. It's not like I get to bring it up. But when we do a film called Bend It Like Beckham, I'm going to be like, yeah.
I honestly
Oh, yeah.
didn't think we would talk about football this much. So, main character, Jess, wants to be a footballer, isn't allowed to because she's from a very traditional... Well, she's from a traditional Indian family.
Yeah, so there's a few different reasons why she can't. One is
Yeah.
that her parents want her to basically just focus on her studies and just be very obedient and be home when she's not studying, learning basically how to be a good housewife.
Well, they want her to be successful, and the only... Like, her parents aren't terrible people.
No.
They want her to be successful, and the only way that they can see her being successful is through her education and through finding a man. Which...
And being a good, like, you've got to be an attractive candidate, like bride essentially as well.
Yeah.
So they're very conscious that if she sort of does anything too, different, then she might be basically blacklisted. And there's, the success in her parents' eyes is, having a good job, obviously like one of the few like parent approved occupations. So, lawyer, doctor, dentist, solicitor,
a high-paying job.
and she doesn't want that really.
No,
But it's not like she doesn't start out the film wanting to be a professional footballer, but she gets spotted by a girl who does want to be a professional footballer, Lil Baby Keira Knightley.
The main character Jess wants to play football because she's annoyed that, like, when she's playing football with her mates, she's annoyed that the boys are never told to go home and help with dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's that kind of thing where she's like, well, I don't understand. She's angry because she's not allowed to do the things that she wants to do when her friends who are the same age as her, the only thing that's different is their men.
Yeah.
She isn't allowed.
And even they're like a little bit sexist to her about her football playing, even though she's clearly better than them.
They're all incredibly sexist.
Yeah. And you can tell, like, it's very much a product of what they've been told.
Yeah.
If you're constantly told and shown that women have to do one thing while men do another, of course you're going to internalise that.
Yeah, because at this time it was like, I mean, even now, fucking 21 years later, after the England women's team have actually won, like, the fucking World Cup, it's still seen as inferior, and there's a lot of men that are like, yeah, but it's not real football, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is quite funny is how this film maybe sparked something, but it's really recently. It's the last 5 years.
Yeah,
it's taken off massively. Like, the women's football is getting actually like shown on TV. It's getting televised, which it never used to.
No.
And like, how are people gonna? And then people are writing it off. Oh, I don't like women's football. It's boring. It's like, well, what women's football were you actually watching? Because if you're only watching, I don't know, your daughter play like school football matches, and then you're comparing that to watching the Premier, then of course you're going to be like, well, they're worse. It's a worse match. But actually, women are pretty good at football. And there's been some great matches. There's been some fucking hilarious matches recently. What was I was watching one. Well, I think it was a New Zealand player accidentally managed to score 3 own goals.
Oh no!
And people were like how? And like, it was genuine. It wasn't. But by the third time, they were like, "What the hell is going on?" And I feel like that's a bad example because it's like a female player messing up, but it was an interesting match nonetheless.
I want you to understand. Every conversation about football and this is going to be a very one-sided conversation. That's fine. Not complaining.
Like about the actual football itself. Like, yeah, I've never really been a fan of it, but I do like how much this movie is kind of like pro girls can do it too, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's very pro women, very kind of.
This film's complicated.
Yeah.
It's sort of pro women, but it's about teenage girls.
Yeah.
This is complicated in a way that the person that wrote it and directed it, I think her name's Chad, I can't pronounce it, butchering the name. She didn't know anything about football before she made this film. She in the original script it says like, and football jargon kind of stuff. She didn't have any idea on how to do football. She had to get someone in to like teach her to write it. And so she wrote it as a sort of story, as like a character narrative, and then added the football later. So it isn't football heavy, this film.
No, it's really not, and it's not about tactics in the game, and like when they do talk about like Beckham and stuff like that, it is very much insert football jargon here.
Yeah. So
whereas, the majority of the story is more based around like letting them move on from tradition and doing what they actually want to do. Because as well as the like the Indian family, like Keira Knightley's mum just wants her to be like a proper girl.
Keira Knightley.
Like a girly girl. And her dad like fucking loves that she's into football though.
Yeah.
Yeah, her mum's horrible.
Yeah, she's the worst character. Because she's that like that kind of person that we all fucking know, where she's just outright racist but acts really dumb and naive about it.
Oh yeah, racist and and homophobic. But it's one of those people who's like, well, I'm not racist. I have a black neighbour, kind of racist.
So angry. Yeah.
And I'm not homophobic. I love ...
I love
George Michael is the example.
George Michael.
Yeah,
literally in the film she's
Which like I love that that the director knows people like that.
Oh yeah.
100%. It's really funny.
Oh, you're not. I'm not talking about you. Just some people.
You're not bad. You're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
That makes my blood boil. You're not like the bad ones. But yeah, so it's about girls being allowed to and allowing themselves to do things that
allow themselves to do a traditionally male thing.
Yeah. And then it's about the families kind of coming to terms with it. Which
so Jess hides it from her parents. Basically, she tells her parents she's got a summer job at HMV, and instead goes to like training.
Yeah.
On a proper team.
This is all like linked in with an extra pressure she has is her sister is getting married.
Oh yeah.
In like a love marriage, so it's not a non-arranged marriage, which. Yeah, she's like, her sister's a very typical, like what would be a typical girl.
Yes.
Like teenager.
Girly girl. She loves pink. She loves fashion. She loves gossiping.
Weirdly judgy of everyone around her.
Yeah, she has her sort of bridezilla moments as well.
Yeah. But what's really odd, actually, now thinking about it, that character, her sister's character, is very non-traditional.
Yeah, because she's breaking. I mean, there's a bit where she's just.
It's more she's only prepared to tread the lines in like behind her parents' back. She wouldn't confront them. She's just, in a way, almost lucky that the person she's fallen for is Indian and from the same community.
And also, she's happy for the traditions that help her.
Yes.
And I think she enjoys the traditions. But I think she's happy to not do the ones she doesn't want to do, she doesn't like. Yeah,
so they're not exactly saving themselves for marriage, and she's, sneaking off with her to-be husband. And it's even said, like, in the film, look, your sister's got, like, she everyone knew that she was sneaking off with him for ages, but now they're engaged, no one bats an eye.
Yeah, which is odd.
It's not, that's really normal. Like, in not just, like, not that's not like an Indian culture thing, that's a lot of... Like, even, like, British, like medieval culture would be, well, as long as you intend to get married, and, like, preferably before they get pregnant, but if not, shortly after.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There is more pressure, I guess it's because Jess is the protagonist, Jess is the main character, there is more pressure on Jess than there is on Keira Knightley. Yeah. Because Keira Knightley, the only pressure she has is really her mum that's like, oh, wear a push-up bra and...
that seems really horrible. Like, her mum really wants to sexualize her daughter. And I know she's 7, I guess they're 17, 18 in this because it's their last year of school.
Yeah.
But Christ alive. Like, she's like, wants her to have her tits out, is always talking about how she's not got a boyfriend and stuff.
I guess that's how she's been conditioned.
Yeah, that's how she feels, her worth and how she had, like, what was valuable to her when she was a teenager was that she had lots of male attention.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting. And now I fully understand why I was showing it in school. Yeah. I don't think I took in what the teacher wanted to until I rewatched it now.
It's also funny.
It's a great film. There's a lot of audio replacement, almost entirely audio replaced. So yeah, Jess sneaks around the main character.
Yeah, there's also the coach of their football team, who's a guy called Joe, and they both fancy him. And for a guy with a fucked up knee, he sure does jump around things a lot.
He's an Irish guy.
Yeah.
Which, like, you play the game, is he attractive or just Irish?
Yeah, I thought he was pretty meh looking, but
he's Irish though.
He was very early 2000s white English guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
He looked like he should have been, if it was a TV show made earlier, he would have been in Skins. Like,
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
He's got that Nicholas Hoult kind of, or that Peaky Blinders dude.
Yeah.
Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That kind of weird face.
Yes. But yeah, both girls like him, fancy him. Which, by the way, I haven't heard the term fancy him for so long.
You knew I fancied him. The London accents in this as well really tickle me. They are so 2003.
Mm-hmm. And the like just hearing someone say slags.
Yeah. Like every so often, like Keira Knightley's lines just seemed really just bad.
Keira Knightley,
like
yeah,
really not well done. And maybe it's because she's so tense in the neck all the time. But
tense in the jaw.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, it feels Oh, this film feels odd, and I know I say this about every film. I know I say this about every fucking film we watch. This film's gay, right?
Yeah.
There is some like pro gay stuff in here as well. Like,
No, I'm talking. They are lesbians.
oh
They
yeah,
are.
she has short
Oh,
hair. Of course, she is gay.
No, not
No.
that. This film.
I know what you mean. Like,
the
If this film had
storyline-
been made 10 years later, yeah, they'd have been gay as well.
it has. There is a rumor that like the daughter of the director said that they were originally lesbians.
Oh, right. And maybe they were told that was too much?
I think the director was afraid because it wouldn't sell well in India,
Oh, okay.
which she wanted it to do well, and she wanted to like introduce a lot of this stuff like into India cinema.
Yeah.
She wanted to sort of do that. That's what was said. I don't know if it's true. There's like no real evidence for it, and the evidence that did exist kind of doesn't anymore. So that might not be true, but it is very, 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 very gay.
Very gay. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Like, Keira Knightley's character is incredibly gay.
Right.
Um,
And the fact that the main character is outed, right?
Yeah.
Like, the main character is outed like 20 minutes into the film as being a footballer.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't wear the right shoes. But it has that arc. And I'm not saying it's not a gay movie. It can be read that way.
Definitely, yeah. And there's the conflict that she experiences of wanting to be true to herself, but also have her parents but isn't sure if her parents will accept her or love her.
Yeah.
That can, that translates very easily into a sort of coming out story. And the fact that she's outed, but then she has to like come out properly.
Yeah.
Because they out it and then they're all disappointed, and then her dad comes round, and then it's okay, well, you've accepted that I like football, now can you accept me getting this scholarship? It's like telling your parents is gay is one thing, but introducing your boyfriend or your
Yeah.
girlfriend or telling them that you're getting gay married.
It's just called married.
Not to your parents when you're coming out to them.
No, that's true.
Then that's a whole nother level of, well, they can't, it's not just a phase.
yeah, and I mean 2002. I don't know if was gay marriage legal here in 2002. I feel like
No.
not quite. No.
No, not quite. Not for another like 12 years.
Yeah, I couldn't remember when that was.
2013.
Ooh, damn, that is too recent.
Mm-hmm.
Took
When did
effect
this-
in March 2014.
When did I think it was like passed in. I think it was like agreed upon in 2013,
Yeah.
and then it passed in 2014.
Yeah.
When did this film come out?
2002.
Okay, so not long after the like hate crime laws.
Yeah, I think most of it was filmed in like 2001 because there's a lot of posters for things. There was one specifically that stood out to me because it says 2001 on the poster in the background.
Yeah. Also, there's like the coach telling, because when the main character hurts herself, and the coach like sits her aside, and I think this is where the Jess kind of starts to fancy him.
Yeah.
Because he explains that like when he was growing up, he wasn't really a tough kid. He was like weedy and thin.
Yeah.
And his dad wanted him to be a footballer, and he didn't want to disappoint his dad, so he played and hurt himself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is the coach also gay?
Any of the characters in this could be gay.
All of them. They
Only
all
one
have
of them
the-
definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of them are an analog for being gay. Because that conversation did sound like I didn't want to let my dad down, and then he found out. It was just really funny.
Yeah.
Really,
It's
she
not
hit
queer coded as so much as just gay.
blankly written out.
Yeah, you can tell that it's toned down in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
But you
whether
don't
it-
need to tell the same story twice, I guess. It's okay for her to just have the one thing and that be football.
I mean, whether it was meant to be or not, you can read it that way because you can, like, the joys of analysing films is there is no set way to analyse them.
Absolutely.
Films have
so
multiple
they go to
viewing styles.
the Euro Championship, I guess. They're playing a team in Germany.
Yeah.
And she loses the penalty, which is classic, by the way. You boys both know that, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, England always loses in penalties to Germany.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
You should
did it
both
that
see-
one time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm
Good
glad we're all on the
pretend.
same page with this.
And do the thing.
Anyway,
that
so
happens in the film.
she doesn't manage to score the penalty, and they lose, but they still want to have fun while they're out there, and the Germans take them clubbing.
One thing that definitely solidifies this as early 2000s is that they're talking about how smoky it is.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
that
I'm
kept on coming up.
so
and,
glad
like,
they banned smoking in places because it's fucking disgusting.
absolutely, yeah. I remember, like, my dad would come back from the pub and he'd just stink, and he doesn't smoke.
Yeah.
And it was just because he was in a bar and they'd be smoking, like everyone would be smoking. So yeah, I don't miss that side of the early noughties.
Yeah, definitely not.
But yeah,
like because obviously didn't go to clubs until like the 2010s, but I can't imagine that horrible, loud, sweaty atmosphere also being filled with smoke.
Awful.
Yeah, it was 2007, so none of us should have been going into pubs.
Yeah.
No, exactly. No.
I remember really early like pubs being smoky.
I remember sometimes having to go. You got the choice when you went into a restaurant if you went in the smoking or the non-smoking room.
Yeah.
Which is quite weird to think about now.
Which, like, if you're in the non-smoking room, it's going to smell like smoke.
Oh yeah.
You can't stop smoke from getting into a room. So they're dancing in the club. She runs outside. Jess is like,
only had like a couple of drinks, and so she's not really used to drinking.
Yeah, but you can tell she's not used to drinking. She
Yeah.
is, she's ultimately still this like Asian kid that has to
Yeah.
focus on her studies, and her parents sort of need to know where she is all the time.
yeah. So she runs out, and the coach follows her, and then do they kiss at that point?
No,
he goes in for a kiss, but
it looks like they're going to, and that's when Keira Knightley sees them, and she's like,
Keira Knightley.
you
Yeah.
bitch.
"You bitch!"
Keira Knightley.
She also massively looks like Jackie Grealish with the hair. I've just realised.
But,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Sure. I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, bearing in mind the example I gave of the Beckham joke, Jackie Grealish the other was interviewed not long ago, and they asked him what he thought of. Does he have an encyclopedic knowledge of football? And he just said, "I don't know what encyclopedic means."
No. What happens after they go to the club? After that happens?
They sort of fall out, and the dad sees in the local paper that they'd gone, so like they're waiting for them, sort of when they get back from Germany as well. And I think it's at this point where they sort of properly stop her from
Ban her from going to
like
football.
going out. Yeah,
And she's miserable. And it's
Yeah.
so she doesn't go. She stops going to practice because they're like not letting her. And they're gearing up for her sister's wedding.
yes,
Yeah.
And she's tried to apologize to Keira Knightley. Keira Knightley's mum just thinks that they're talking about them two being in love as well, and now she's worried that her daughter's a lesbian.
Yeah, but it's that really horrible, like, to be fair, like, Keira Knightley does address it at the end, like, so what would be the problem if I was a lesbian?
Yeah, exactly.
But her mum's horrified that she's a lesbian, and very angry, and very, blames Jess.
Yeah. And her dad isn't that much better. Like, he doesn't make it worse, but he isn't trying to do anything. Like,
Yeah,
he
he's
isn't
kind of
trying to
doing
help.
that, like, I'm just going to stay out of it kind of dad move.
Yeah, which is really annoying.
Like, he doesn't call her out on much at all.
No, he's like, oh, but what's his name isn't, what about George Michael? Really fucking irritating.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, because the sister's wedding gets called off at one point.
Yeah, so the
because,
sisters gets...
Yeah, the fiance's parents sees Jess and Keira Knightley just kind of having a laugh together and think they see her kissing a white boy, and so they call off the wedding.
Yeah.
But then, at this point, like a while later, the wedding's back on. Jess isn't playing football.
They point out, no, he is...
Yeah.
Jules isn't a man.
Yeah.
She's a girl with short hair.
Yeah, exactly. Easy mistake to make. What a palaver. But yeah, so there's going to be a talent scout at this football final that Jess can't go to, and she definitely can't go because her sister's wedding is on the same day.
And like her dad has sort of come round and is like, you can start going back to training and stuff, but then when he finds out that it's the same day, he's like, well, no, you have to put your sister first. She needs you.
I really like the dad's arc of where he's talking about how he used to want to play cricket, but all of the other people like took the piss out of him because of his turban.
Yeah.
And then like that scene right at the end where he's just playing cricket with Joe and just seems so happy. I'm like, I'm glad that he got a nice little story arc in here where he is happy.
And also that his job isn't just to protect his daughter, it's also to let them thrive.
Yeah, exactly.
And that just because it was bad for him, the world has changed a bit.
Yeah.
And she can do this, and she's not going to be ridiculed as like the brown girl who wants to play football. Like, she is going to be recognised as a footballer.
Yeah, well, also before that, like earlier on, she sneaks off to go to a football match and he follows her.
Yeah, because she pretends to be ill and stays at home, but then they've forgotten something.
Yeah. And he goes off, he
to watch.
Finds her, watches her, and then Jess experiences shitty racism.
Yeah.
Where a girl trips her or something.
Yeah, like real bad tackle, and then just uses a racist slur against her. And so Jess just reacts like horribly and ends up getting red carded and sent off the pitch.
A normal person would.
Yeah.
And gets kicked off, and then the coach is like explaining to her that you can't do that, you nearly threw the whole thing away for everyone, bloody blah. And Jess storms off.
I don't like how this was handled, to be fair, this bit.
Yeah, because he like confronts her, and she's like, he didn't just say that.
Yeah, she didn't just say that. She also called me a ... and he's like, you don't understand how that feels, and he's like, of course I do, and I'm like, what? Because you're Irish?
Yeah, he goes, yeah.
Because you're a straight white male. Which one is it? Like
Irish.
In what way do you understand colonial racism?
It's because he's maybe gay.
So it's because he's probably gay.
Oh, it's because his dad was mean to him. It's like, that's a little bit different to institutionalized racism.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if that is... The director, like, knows that there are people like that. That there are people that would be like, I've experienced this too.
Yeah.
I'm XYZ. Or, if it is like, she is referencing that throughout time, Irish people haven't done too well dealing with the English.
True.
Like, I don't know if it is a reference of... Yeah, if it is a reference to people who, like, really don't understand racism being directed against them, or, like, bigotry being directed against them, going, I understand your plight in that kind of phony way.
It just seems like it would have been way more genuine for him to have been like, no, I don't understand, but I'm really sorry it happened.
Or if we saw him being... Or if there was, like, any evidence of him being... That's why I think it's more to do with him, like, pretending empathy. Because we never see him experience it, right?
Yeah, he's sort of trying to live, basically, makes no hiding of the fact that he's basically living vicariously through these girls.
Yeah, no,
because he's injured, he can't play, so he's got to coach.
Yeah.
And he wants them to succeed, but because he's got to start at the bottom, he's got to start with the girls' clubs. So his arc is basically, these girls are a stepping stone. I've got to do it, so I might as well grit my teeth and make the best of it. These girls are fantastic, and I want to keep training women because the sport needs more people that believe in them.
Yeah, but what it means we never see him experience prejudice.
No, never.
Like, which is why I think it's more of a joke on there are people like this that will just sort of...
Yeah, no, I can see why
like
it happened in the film, as in...
Yeah.
It's probably something that a lot of brown and black people have experienced in the UK, is where they've experienced racism, and then a white person has said, "Oh, I know how you feel."
I know how you feel.
Oh yeah, and then they say, "Oh yeah, the other day someone called me a bitch," and it's like
not quite the same thing. But then again, like, it is entirely possible for an Irish person to experience prejudice in England.
Oh yeah.
But that's never shown, so I don't think it's that. Like, that's a weird moment in the film.
Yeah.
But it is very funny. It made me laugh, like really, genuinely made me laugh out loud.
It was
when
just,
he was
yeah,
like-
I think because it was such a predictable line.
And it was
It
said
was like,
so
for fuck's sake.
earnestly.
Yeah.
Of course I do. I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of
it's
course
so
I do. Yeah.
it's so bizarre. But yeah, so
We've got to talk a little bit about. I don't know if this you watched this a lot at school. This got referenced all the time when I was at school, and it's the scene where she's getting fitted for her sister's wedding, and obviously her sister wants boobs to look big and her waist look small and whatever sort of standard what you want, and then Jess wants more fabric covering. She doesn't want it to draw attention to her, sort of standard stuff that matches her character. And the lady's like, oh, I can make even the littlest mosquito bites look like juicy mangoes.
Yeah,
That got said all the time at my school.
There is a lot of boob talk in this movie.
It's about girls have boobs.
Yeah, the Indian family are very funny.
They are great. Yeah,
Like that.
What's your favourite line? I bet it's the same one as mine.
Which one's yours?
So when we're jumping forward a little bit, but when Jules's mum confronts,
yep, this is my
Jess.
favourite line too.
and she's like, "You're a lesbian," and like says it in such a damning way, and then one of the aunties or grannies is like, "Lesbian? She's born in March. I thought she was a Pisces."
Yeah. No, I like the old Indian lady that makes a dick joke.
Yeah.
'Cause she mentioned, so they're talking about like you can marry Indian men. They know how. That's it. They know how to cook and know how to wash up. They it's not like it was before. They dress nicely, and she says something about them being big, and I'm like, my god. There's a moment an old lady references a large peen. I swear. But I also think a few members of the family, like the older family, are the director's family.
Oh, right.
I think they're not actors; they're family of the directors that she got in, which is brilliant.
That's the thing where it's like, as someone that's not Indian, obviously, it's hard to know like what's stereotype, what's just actually very true to them, and how they perceive themselves, and what's okay to find funny.
Yeah, have either of you guys ever been to an Indian wedding?
No.
No.
I'm sweet talking various Indian people I know at the moment that I know are getting married. So.
I went to one and it was just like insane. I've never seen a room so crowded, full of so much, like just so many people and like so much color, like like all the different colored not dresses. What's the word?
Saris.
Saris, yeah,
Lehendas.
like just it is just crazy, like yeah.
It's just a lot of people as well.
Yeah,
We
it was quite.
were
a long
actually
time
talking
since
about
I
this
went,
at work today because I work with because I live in Birmingham for people that don't know, but it's a very multicultural place, and where I work, we've got a couple of Indian girls, couple of Pakistani girls. One of the Indian girls is getting married, and she's having a small wedding of about 200 to 300 people.
Yeah. It's a celebration, though.
Yeah.
Like different.
Oh yeah.
I think different cultures celebrate specific things a lot. Like we don't really do weddings as like a massive celebration. It's a get together, but we celebrate like birthdays and Christmas like mad, right? Yeah. I've got that perception right. And I know in Ireland, like weddings are big, but for some reason funerals are like the celebration in Ireland.
Yeah.
Like if you go to an Irish, like not that you would ever want to, but apparently like Irish wakes are like, it's a party. It's not a mournful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like properly celebrating their life instead. Yeah.
It's always like it's like one thing you go all out.
Oh yeah,
on.
part of your Sun Life funeral package is a free bar.
But like it's like different people go like all out on different things, and
yeah,
for a lot of
weddings
people,
are
it's
a
weddings.
big one, and it's like a whole community thing. But then it's one of those things where it's like a lot of it is for the parents as well. Which obviously comes across in this film as well. It's like the parent, you have to invite everyone, and it has to bring honour and joy to your family, and it has to be a marriage that, the two families have to both want it. Like the parents it wasn't her sister's fiance that called off the wedding, it was his parents.
Yeah.
But then there were bits in the wedding that I was like, is this a stereotype or is this... Because it felt funny and it felt like, oh, that might be relatable, but like everyone arguing about the photography and like the little fight kicking off and stuff like that. I'm like, is that an Indian wedding thing? Was that just a wedding thing? Or is it that particular group of
wedding.
Indian people?
Because, this is like... Yeah. I imagine it's relatively authentic because it was made by, again, the director who makes a lot of these kinds of films.
Yeah.
Very sort of British intersectional movies. It's kind of what she did during that time period.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So I imagine it is done with authenticity.
I did really like the scene at the end with they've got the old ladies, and they've all got their feet up.
Yeah.
Like bare feet and their feet up. Like, yeah, they've been standing for a long time. Gotta rest.
But yeah, it was just cool. The conversation that I thought was weird was between the sisters, the main character and her sister, where her sister's saying, you can have anyone. You can just have an Indian man. Why don't go after a white boy, was essentially what she said.
Yeah.
You don't go after an English girl. She said he's Irish. They all look the same, which was very funny.
Yeah.
What I don't get, everyone's like, oh yeah, the race thing, you have to... No one said he's a bit old for her.
How old is he?
Well, he has to be in his like mid-20s at least, right?
Does he?
Yeah, easily.
Or does he just have to not be at school anymore? So he could be like 18 going on 19.
He's not 18 going on 19.
I kind of assumed he was like 22, 23, kind of.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was thinking late teens, early 20s.
She's 16, 17?
No, she's 17 to 18.
That's weird, though.
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
No, it's weird that no one mentions the age difference.
Well, they do bring it up where it's like he's got to tread carefully because he could get, if he got accused of anything, that would be it for him.
Yeah.
Doesn't stop him from going in for a cheeky snog, but, you know.
But that was more to do with him being the coach than anything, not him being older.
Well, it's him being a male coach to women.
Yeah, but that's not about him being, like, older and they're young. It's just a weird age difference. And it's odd that no one brings it up. No one in her family is like, he's a bit old.
Well, they don't really get a chance to know about it, do they, or comment on it?
Yeah, they
That's
don't
true.
really know about him. I think it's only the sister that sort of knows.
Yeah.
And that's where she's like, why can't you just do it behind everyone's backs?
Yeah.
Like
everyone else.
we always have, like everyone else does. Like, why do you have to make a big deal out of it? Like, she's much more content for like the culture to shift gradually.
Yeah.
Whereas
Jess
because it suits her, which I think is it's not doesn't make her a bad person or anything. She's not her sister's enemy, but it is like you can see where they're both frustrated. Where one's like, "Stop rocking the boat. You're ruining it for me and yourself. Because if I can be happy with this, why can't you? Like, what's wrong with the life I want that you can't? Like, it disgusts you or you don't want it."
Yeah.
But at the same time, the other sister's equally frustrated of like, why aren't you on my side? When I know that you've not been traditional either, you're just sort of getting away with it.
Yeah.
So she goes to the first half of the wedding and her dad is like, you look like you're at a funeral. You grumpy
she's just
arsehole.
miserable. Yeah.
I love
Because she should be at the finals.
Yeah.
I love the way he does that. I love the way he makes it. He makes it a thing to be like, you need to enjoy the wedding more and you'll be happier if you go.
Yeah, if you go, because if she goes now, she can still make it to play in the second half of the game.
Yeah.
So he's like, if you go, you'll do that, and then you'll be happier when you come back, and that is more important. Like,
yeah.
He never loses his authority.
No, he lets her go.
Yeah, but it's on his ground. It's not. I'm letting you go because you clearly will enjoy it. It's I'm letting you go because you'll be happier when you get back.
And it's also a very good point. Is that like. The bride won't notice.
Yeah, no one will notice.
It's an Indian wedding. There's going to be, potentially up to 1,000 people there?
And like it'll last for hours?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, she's done all the other bits of the wedding as well.
I just think it was really sweet. I just think it was really nice.
No, it was really nice that that she doesn't have to sneak off. She doesn't have to let him down again. Like, he realizes actually, you know what she wants. She wants this so badly, but she wants to. She's still trying to be a good daughter, Maybe
And
I
he
should
is-
actually let her be a good daughter and do what she so desperately wants to do.
And he's firmly on her side.
Yes.
Like, he will, if her mum has a problem with it, he'll...
Sort of. He does look guilty as sin, though, when
Oh, yeah.
it comes to light later on.
But he has
It's
a
like
defense.
it's one of those traditional sort of stereotypes as well, though, where it's like he's in charge, but his wife is really in charge.
Yeah. But yeah, so she goes off to the football game with her friend who comes out as the canonically gay character.
Yeah, yeah.
The only character that isn't hinted at it being gay. The only character that isn't like that isn't part of a coming out narrative gets the coming out story.
Yeah.
I think that's really funny.
Yeah,
'Cause
and
you-
he comes out in such a funny way. He's like, I like Beckham. And she's like, yeah, I like Beckham too. And he's like, no, I like Beckham. And she has the best response, like, but you're Indian.
Yeah. Like, that'll stop it. I know, it's funny.
So they find out that they've been awarded scholarships by these talent scouts.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
like
they play
in
the game.
America, yeah.
Yeah, they play the
She
game. It
gets
goes
a
really
head-
well. She comes
she
back
gets
to
a
bed
head
very
injury.
happy.
She gets a severe head injury and starts hallucinating.
Yeah, she gets to take the free kick and just sees like all of the grannies in the lineup instead.
Yeah.
Which
That's
is great.
That's the director's family, by the
Yeah.
way. With those aunties are
That's why she had to try really hard not to kick a football into
yeah.
them.
I'm pretty sure she has a head injury that they don't check. But yeah, they win, celebrate. Do they win or do they lose?
No,
They
they win.
win.
They win at the last second.
That's it.
And then they get picked up by the talent scouts. And then I like the scene where all the other footballers are helping her get ready for the wedding again.
Yeah.
It's so sweet, and that had full vibes of the director just gave them like the components to make the outfit and just told them to try and work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it fully feels like they were given no instruction and they just kind of had to go in like real people kind of thing. It was really funny.
Yeah, then so she gets back to the wedding, and then Keira Knightley's wanting to go to the wedding as well. But when she
Well-
gets there, her mum comes out, and it's just when they're like,
Keira
the
Knightley,
sisters.
they hug each other after the win, and Keira Knightley's mum's like, "How dare you?
Yeah,
They're a lesbian." Follows her. They go to the wedding. She
like confronts them about being lesbians, but it's as the sisters like about to get into the wedding car, so it's like really quiet, and they're all outside.
Yeah, there's a big audience for it, and
Yeah.
it's her sister's obviously pretty pissed off and just like, in case you hadn't noticed, it's my wedding.
Yeah. And Jess is wearing... I think her name's Jess. I might have been getting that wrong the entire time.
It is Jess,
But
yeah,
then-
because her
Yeah,
name's
so she's Jess, but her name's Jasvinder.
Yeah.
But it's short. It's anglicised to Jess.
Yeah. But she's wearing Keira Knightley's shoes. She's
Keira
wearing like
Knightley's
nice
mum's
Because
shoes.
she
shoes.
used the money. Yeah, she used the money
Yeah.
that her parents gave her to buy shoes for the wedding to buy football boots.
Yes. So she's wearing her shoes, and that's like the Keira Knightley's mum is like, you are lesbians. How dare
it's
you?
no, she's wearing Keira Knightley's mum's shoes.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Get your lesbian feet out of my shoes." Is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
exact line.
And that's when the aunties are like, lesbian.
Yeah.
Which is
She's a
brilliant.
Pisces.
And then they explain to her that no, they weren't fighting over each other. They were fighting over because they both fancied the
Yeah,
Yeah,
same
they
boy.
both
the
fancy Joe.
coach.
Yeah. So she's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, okay.
And it's one of those
Yeah.
things that mums can do as well. Where it's like, oh, I was wrong, but it's fine because actually the thing I was worried about isn't true. So let's just brush over my horrible behaviour.
Let's pretend it didn't happen. Let's move on. Which is the most frustrating thing in the world. But also, nowhere near as frustrating as when Keira Knightley says, "Oh, what's wrong with being a lesbian?" And she's like, "Oh, I've got no problem with it." That makes me so mad.
It's really it's horrible, isn't it? Because it's so homophobic and it's so like your daughter's picked up on this. You know that, like.
Well, it's like it's more of what I think. What annoys me is she's convinced she's not homophobic
Yeah,
because
but
she
has just been. She was using lesbian as a slur.
yeah, she was fully hated it when her daughter was, but like, oh, I like a celebrity that is. I support a celebrity that I watch.
Yeah,
a
as long
TV
as it's
show
not
with
my own.
a
As long as it's not
lesbian.
my fam. Like as long as it's
So
not
I'm
you.
not homophobic. Like that, it makes me so mad.
Yeah.
And like, I'd rather if someone's going to be homophobic, be fucking open about it. Don't be a coward about it. Don't convince yourself you're not. Like, deal with it. Mate, it just makes me so angry.
Yeah, And it's that the whole idea that like being a lesbian's like the worst thing in the world as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like the most common form of like insidious prejudice back then. You don't get it as much now. Dan, what's your opinion on that? Just been dead silent. Just been dead silent.
You're too straight, Dan.
You are.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just the boring straight guy.
But do you know
Token
how
straight.
we feel?
No. I completely understand how you feel. I too have experienced this because I am a straight white guy.
Because I'm Irish.
Because I'm Irish. I get it.
But yeah, so they get like the opportunity to go to America
Yes.
on the American team,
All she has to do now is tell her parents.
Yeah.
and they're hesitantly supportive.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, her friend, the gay
Her gay
one,
friend,
tries
yeah.
to help,
He does,
but
and
in
it's
the way that
sweet,
only like that he only knows how, and how her sister knows how, which is to
which is
trick
tradition.
her parents and go along with it whilst doing what you want. Really,
Yeah, just to do what she's been doing the entire film.
Yeah.
But
Like-
instead she's like, no, I don't want to lie anymore. Like,
so he says, "Well, I want to marry your daughter. Can we have your blessing? But I want her to get a college education first, wherever she wants to go."
Yeah,
And he
anywhere
sort
in
of
the
sees it
world.
as a win-win, where he gets a beard and she gets her education.
Yeah.
But she's ultimately still lying to her family.
Yeah, because she's learned over the film that
And
that's
that she
not
can
what
trust
wants.
her dad.
Yeah,
Her
does.
parents actually do want what's best for her, and they do trust her enough to sort of work that out for herself.
Yeah, she doesn't just want to play football. She also wants her family.
Yeah.
So she's not going to lie to them, and she doesn't, and they're hesitant.
yeah.
But then, she's not a lesbian.
But they accept that she can go.
Yeah.
And I did quite like the scene where she goes to tell Joe, and like they go to kiss, and she's just like, no, like this is more important to me. I don't want to piss my
You're
family off.
far too old for me.
And she just hugs him, and I like if it had ended there in terms of their relationship, I like that would have been
Yeah.
a lot nicer, to be honest, than the whole airport kiss afterwards.
Oh, but it's 2002. You've got to have an
Yeah.
airport smooch.
Got to run through the
Exactly.
airport and kiss them.
And a nice little another Beckham cameo.
That cameo was the most awkward I've ever seen anyone walk ever.
He's
It was
literally
real-
like a floor above and walking across a corridor.
Yeah,
And they're like, oh my
it's
god,
like
look!
a corridor. It's David Beckham.
It's a sign.
Like it may have been. That's the thing, is it may have been David Beckham. They may have got him for the film, but it was such an awkward shot of someone.
Well, they had quite a few
walking.
other footballers in the film. I know you guys didn't know that, but
No, not at all. But I don't think anyone can act like acting or just walking with a camera is really difficult.
definitely.
This is really robotic. It's real funny. But yeah, Joe is now coaching women's again.
Yeah, because he actually wants to. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's his arch, isn't it?
that's his.
His
idea.
arc.
yeah. So he goes to see her at the airport, and he gives her a big smooch while everyone else is looking at David Beckham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I really enjoyed that. So yes, like the final shot is kind of the like the dad playing cricket with Joe and like a couple of other
Oh,
people.
sweet.
But then as it pans up, there's just an ice cream van coming down the road playing like a little ice cream jingle, and then the movie ends.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a reference to the Choc Ice.
Nah, it's just British. It's this British
It's
ending.
just, to remind you that you're in Croydon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get the amazing after credits of everyone having to sing and dance,
Yeah, that was really
which is
fun. I
gone, by
liked
the
that.
way. We don't get that anymore.
Yeah.
We don't get the fun after credits, like bloopers, everyone having fun on set anymore. You wait till the end and then you get a shitty advert for the next film.
Yeah.
Bring back the peak actors dancing in front of the camera and having fun.
Keira Knightley will return in.
Well, after this, I think the director made Angus Thongs and Perfect Snog.
Oh, was that the same director? I did
I
not know
think
that.
so. So,
Yeah.
it was a sequel. They could have had an ending. Yeah, because I think that film is entirely ADR as well. This film is just ADR. Oh man, but that's the film. It's a really good film.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun. It felt really wholesome. And out of 10...
It held up well. I will say that before you say out of 10. It held up really well.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I'm
very
gonna give it-
obviously early 2000s British
Quite
movie,
incredibly.
but it held up in terms of like storytelling and being a movie.
Yeah, and the yeesh bits in it are, oh god, people were like that.
People-
Not,
yeah.
oh, they're trying to make it funny. Like, they're not trying to make it funny. They're doing the opposite. They're showing that it's horrible and, like, homophobic and racist. And it's like, remembering how
They're
homophobic,
Irish.
how homophobic and racist people were, and can, unfortunately, still be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd give this, I'm going to give it 9 Beckham posters on my window out of 10. I had a really good time watching it, and yeah, I think it's held up. Like, it's one that I'd watch again. Like, it's a hell of a lot deeper than I think you'd think it would, like, giving the title and given the premise.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd watched it a few more times as a kid, because it could have cemented some more of those ideals in my head that took a little longer for me to get to. What about you,
Dan?
Yeah, like the premise of it all was great. Like, I know that I'm clearly not into football at all, but even that didn't, like...
Did you spot baby Gary Lineker?
Yes, I know him. He's the Walker's Crisps guy.
Do you know why he's famous, Dan?
Crisps? No, he was a footballer for England, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't a hard guess, to be fair.
If football related, you could have gone to he was a footballer.
He was a footballer, and then he was a commentator.
He was a football. Yeah, no, like it being football didn't detract from like the movie. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, sometimes if it's like a sort of sports movie and it's like going into this one sport, and I'm like, I don't have a fucking clue what this is on about.
That's so funny. You go, it being football, like football would just detract from it being a good.
Well, it didn't lose me because it wasn't like full on about the football. Yeah.
Again, because the director didn't know anything about football.
And nor do I, so it works fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I did really enjoy how it kind of tackles everything. No pun intended there. But yeah, it was a good time. I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10 sleep paralysis demons with bold black and white Beckham's face.
Yeah.
Because that poster, like, if I woke up with that poster like over me, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah. I really like this film, and I like reading about it and read the director talk about it. Like, everything is important. It's the reason it's called Bend It Like Beckham is because women have to bend rules instead of break them.
Yeah.
Like, they have to bend the rules. They can't just
And also because what does Beckham do? What was he famous for, guys?
Chalk ice.
Stupidity.
He could bend the ball. That was one of his things.
Yeah, but
like in Wanted.
But like she thought it's a sequel to Bend It Like Beckham.
There's you should check out. There's a Bend It Like Beckham 20 Years On thing on iPlayer at the moment.
Oh, nice. I may actually check that out.
She wanted Bend It Like Beckham to be the same title everywhere because it's kind of important. It was changed in Germany to Kick It Like Beckham, which is very funny, and I don't know why. But it was like the same in India, the same everywhere. It's just a good film. It's just a really good, like, British indie film. Yeah. Relatively small budget indie film. And David Beckham was really supportive of it. He was like, he wanted to sort of push women's football more. Yeah. He wanted more girls to play football, more young girls to play football. So he really enjoyed it. He really endorsed the film. So I think like 9 scenes with heavy lesbian undertones out of 10. There's also one more fact about this film that we haven't talked about. This is the first Western-made film to be shown in North Korea.
Wow, what an honor!
In 2011.
That is really getting a feel for British culture there.
I don't know why they picked this, but it was like to like on the anniversary of like the thing between England and North Korea, like the equal. For some reason, they showed Bend It Like Beckham.
A movie about not giving in to culture and actually breaking away and doing your own thing.
Really cool and interesting film. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine anyone in any other country apart from like India and places like that would understand what was happening in this film.
Don't
because
forget
it's
the
so,
Irish.
It's so yeah, because they're but it's so wrapped up in like English slang
Yeah.
and like English Indian culture that it's so. I imagine it is incomprehensible to like people that haven't been a part of either.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why they show this to North Koreans.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if this podcast episode is the first one shown.
The first
Listen
one
to
shown in
it
North
in
Korea. First
Podcast
podcast
in
shown
North
in
Korea.
North Korea. Fucking, it's a weird film. I love this film though,
Yeah.
and not just because I'm Irish.
Me too.
It was a great time.
And it's inspired you to play football, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it either. Like to
Yeah.
be fair, I can say I don't watch women's football because I also don't watch men's football.
Exactly. Football
Or
in
any
general,
football.
not a fan.
Support it. I'm not gonna watch it.
BCFC.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I have been Dan.
I have been Michael.
And I've been Helena.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at HiltonPod. That's at HILTM Pod. We're on Discord as well, so you can let us know what you think about Bend It Like Beckham. Let us know what like weird
What team do
early
you support?
2000s slang you remember as well. And yeah, what Helena said. Which football team do you support? I support one. of them.
I support the good one.
Yeah, the one that's winning. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No,
assume
it's
you
the one
don't
that's
support Coventry because they're shit.
Yeah, no, they're shit. The only like game I've seen that Coventry did that they were good at was ice hockey, and that was a pretty fun time.
Fair. Ice hockey is pretty fun.
Yeah. We also have a Patreon, and as well as trying to be the first podcast released in North Korea, we're also going to be doing something else, I assume.
Honestly, my brain is like, we're gonna make a football team. I don't want to do that.
Don't know how. We're just going
I
to
don't-
promote
actually-
women's football.
Yeah, no, we're gonna make a second. We're gonna donate to us. We're gonna make a second podcast, which is Helena's football hour.
Yeah.
Helena's just gonna talk about football,
Oh man, Moore's got smashed at the weekend.
and we're gonna also be on it, and we will listen intently and like earnestly try and No, that's it. We're gonna do a special. I've got it. Donate to us on go to Patreon. We'll do a special after a certain amount. We'll do a special where Helena has to try and teach us the rules and history of football.
Oh god.
Rules, history, and cultural impact of football. Has to try
do I
and
get
teach
to
us.
explain the offside rule to you both?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I clearly
and we're
understood
gonna-
it from the salt and the mayonnaise from this
Yeah.
movie.
And we're gonna earnestly try and learn it.
Yeah.
That's
But
what
it's
we're
called
gonna do.
Helena's Football Hour, so 1 second over and we're done.
Okay, that's fair. So like how far back do I have to go to with football?
That's up to you. Whatever you think the audience will be happy with.
'Cause I could talk about FIFA for a while.
I mean, yeah, I'll happily talk about FIFA. I just feel like you'll talk about a different part of it than me.
Yeah, I feel like you'll talk about the football and not like the slave labour.
The horrible
Yeah.
slave labour and corruption.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll talk about that bit.
Yeah.
Well,
This got depressing, so
another.
Keep right on. That's like that's what we say in Birmingham.
goal.
Ole, 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 ole. Hip, hip, hot, hot, hot.
The only thing I know about football is Shakira released a football song and it's great.
Oh yeah, the one about Africa.
Waka waka, hey, waka waka, hey.
His number one
Jambalaya.
A straight up stolen song that she didn't pay royalties for. But
Is
also
it?
it doesn't matter because she doesn't pay anything anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, that wasn't like a unique thing because she stole the song. Turns out she doesn't pay shit.
no, her hips don't lie, but her tax returns do.
Hmm.